Hi, I'm Ben Feferman.
And I'm Rachel.
And we are back with Esports Unfiltered, where every week, except when I take extended trips to Florida, we are breaking down all the news, analysis, and scandals in the esports industry. How does it feel to be back?
It feels good. It's been a while. I'm glad you enjoyed a nice sunny vacation without me or anybody else. So we were all here in the cold, but we're back now, you're back now, and it feels good to be back.
It does. I do feel bad for all the viewers, all 50 to 100 of them who just were not able to watch Esports Unfiltered for so many weeks, but we are back. We had a great episode today. We are talking about the esports bubble. Now, just to throw in a little bit of context here, I believe around the time of the Fortnite World Cup, I think it's August 2019, this is around the time where esports valuations and things are getting stupid. You know, I think when investors see, wow, it's at Arthur Ashe Stadium, which hosts the US Open, and like the production of the Fortnite World Cup was so insanely good, and Booga wins $3 million. This is cool, this is exciting, and everyone's just throwing checks all summer. And then what happens?
Well, exactly. I think, that's what's come across this year. We've seen a lot of changes in the esports industry itself. And I heard a really good quote actually the other day where it's become to the point where esports is almost running like a Ponzi scheme. Like these evaluations are being, blown out of proportion and given to sponsors. And that's just not what their true evaluation is coming in at. Like, yes, maybe their teams are valued at millions of dollars, but that's not their true value. You're not going to get that ROI from investing in that team.
And of course, when we talk about esports companies, we're talking about everyone but us. We are totally different and separate. So that goes without saying, but just had to be said. So, okay, so these valuations are getting big. Then we get COVID and there seems to be a bit of a pullback. So now during that year, we were just talking about there were some casualties of COVID. So let's kind of do a linear example. Everyone's funding esports, yay, gaming. This is the next greatest thing. COVID comes, they pull back. Who are some of the losers that didn't make it through this past year during COVID?
The biggest one that I think is notable was the idea to do the ESPN Esports situation. As we saw less, live sporting events being put on ESPN, they thought, well, let's bring in some of that esports market and focus some of our coverage to those events online. And it's just it didn't translate. People were not interested in it. If I'm subscribing to ESPN, it's because I'm really into physical sports. It's not because I have any interest in video games. And I'm sure there's people out there that do. Of course there are. But tuning in from a live sporting event that's football's been around for hundreds of years, and these other sports have been around for a long time. So we understand how that game's played. We understand the rules. Anyone can now tune in and watch. But esports is not the same way. Not everybody understands the rules. You don't know what's happening when you're looking at the screen if you don't play the game. So the market just really wasn't there for viewership in the same way that the other sports events were.
Yeah, it was pretty surprising that ESPN went under. ESPN Esports went under. I noted, unfortunately, and again, I don't want to make light of it, but North Esports, you guys know me, I rock North Esports hat almost every day. I think it's a great brand, Counter-Strike team in Denmark. They did not make it. Others that didn't make it or got, Evo was one that really got hit hard, not necessarily because of the virus, because of a different type of virus. Oh, that was a good one. Melee kind of died, Cyberpunk, a lot of games died this year, right? Seems like a big casualty. Any notable streamers, any big careers lost this year?
Not that I can think of offhand.
Aside for everyone in Smash community, okay. But yes, there were a lot of cancel cultures. I also don't know off the top of my head. It seems like it happened all in one big frenzy. And now we are seeing some mega financings. I'm just gonna read off a few of them that really happened in the first quarter of 2021. I'm going in order from smallest to biggest to build the excitement. Okay, you have 3D Aim Trainer, €1 million. Okay, not bad. eFuse, really cool social media platform, $6 million financing. Some people call it the LinkedIn for esports. Anzu's a really awesome company. They do in-game product placement. You can advertise in-game. $9 million financing. Nerd Street, one of our favorite companies, they have some of the coolest venues and tournaments out there. $11.5 million. Rivalry betting platform, $20 million. Can you feel the excitement? This is just already in the first quarter. VSPN, which is like an esports, I don't know what they do. So back to the beginning. It's like an all-in-one esports solution provider. And really, $60 million for VSPN. And then finally, the big one, Allied Esports has an offer to buy the whole company, $100 million. These are just some of the crazy financings that we are seeing in 2021. Is this the same as 2 years ago? Is everyone piling in at once, or is something different? What do you think?
I think what's different this year is there's a bit more, there's like smarter choices happening in the investments.
Smarter money is definitely going into esports, yes.
Because we've seen that influencers can provide you a lot more return on investment than, necessarily like a professional team or an event actually can. Like these people create their own brands and they carry them on their own. They bring in their own viewers and they bring in their own revenue. So they're really crisis proof. They're really, pandemic proof. So we've seen that market build for people who are even like gamers themselves are still watching these people play games. So that market will take off and has taken off. And that's, I think, where we're going to see a lot of the investment money going instead of where we saw it go 2 years ago.
That reminds me, are you struggling to keep track of what's happening in all of the biggest race series each week? Was that a good transition or no?
I don't know.
Are you struggling to keep track of what's happening in all the big racing series each week? Then Motorsports Drop is for you. You can catch up with last week's big winners, the biggest races on the weekend's calendar, or the biggest stories in the world of real and sim racing with quick news bites on Mondays and Fridays and occasional special editions. You guys need to subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts from. Just search Motorsports Drop and you can see all of their podcast partners as well. That's it.
I feel like if I hold it like this, you don't know what I'm holding, but that's where the drink hole is.
By the way, what flavor do you have there?
I have the matcha, and it's really good. Like, I actually really like this.
I have yerba mate.
What's yerba mate?
Well,
I think it's yerba mate, isn't it?
Yerba mate. That sounds...
Yerba mate.
That sounds more likely. We could talk more about Guru Energy Drink later, but now we're going to talk about companies going public. So one of the things that I had heard is that if you own a Activision Blizzard franchise, that you can go public, and it makes a lot of sense because they're secretive as you can't talk about anything. You can't talk about the fines. You can't talk about the franchise fees. You can't talk about anything. There's no transparency. So it made total sense that they're not letting any of their companies go public. And the only one that kind of is Enthusiast Gaming, that has the Seattle Surge and Vancouver Titans. It's a very minority ownership. It's not a majority stake. So that was my understanding. And then all of a sudden, Overactive Media comes out and says, holy shit, we just raised a big financing round and they're going public. And now it's like, wow, if they're gonna go public, does that mean other Activision franchise companies or parent cos will go public? Now, normally we don't see in the sports world companies go public. Sports teams are not public, they're all private. There's a couple of very small exceptions. Boston Celtics used to be publicly traded. And then you have some that are owned by publicly traded companies, like in Toronto, the Leafs are owned by Bell and Rogers. So now it's interesting, as we're talking about this esports bubble, is will some of the biggest brands now say, hey, if we can go public, this is our way to raise a 9-figure, how many is 9 figures? Yeah, 9-figure financing round, potentially. Does this open the gate for like a Cloud9, a TSM, a Liquid, some of these companies that are not owned by huge sports billionaires and definitely could go public?
I think that, yeah, they could go public, and we've seen the power that the everyday gamer can have in that marketplace, in the stock marketplace. We saw with GameStop, like what happened. However you feel about whether or not that should have gone down.
Oh my God, yeah. Like,
it can happen.
FaZe would be like the perfect like Robin Hood trading stock
Exactly.
that just everyone's gonna be like, hey, Wall Street, we're all investing in FaZe.
People have this very emotional attachment to their favorite esports, companies, teams, whatever it is that they want to invest in, and that's what caused that GameStop reaction. I mean, obviously, it wasn't company value. It was the emotional investment that people had in said company, which is fine, like whatever. But yeah, so that's where people will invest their money, and we'll see it becoming, I think, more popular with the average person to invest in the things that they care about and help propel them into the future, help them stand up against these other big, corporations that don't have that same emotional investment or attachment with their fan base.
Yeah, if you're willing to drop, 10, 20, 30, 40, $100 on in-game cosmetics, why wouldn't you drop, your COVID stimulus check on some Cloud9 stock or some, 100 Thieves stock? So I think it has such potential for retail. Okay, one last thing before we wrap it up. We talk about investing in teams, but what about investing in influencers? And this made so much sense to me because a team can win or lose, go up and down, and there's some consistency with the top orgs, but some of the best esports, or let's call them gaming assets, investing in some of the top influencers and streamers, I think makes a ton of sense. And when I look at some of the best esports or gaming properties out there, yeah, I just think there's a lot more risk in teams, but it would be great if these top guys like Tim the Tapman, guys like Dr. Disrespect, guys like, or Pokimane and others, if they were to kind of IPO or sell shares of their brand, that would be a great part of the industry to own. Because right now, if you want to own the influencer part of the industry, there's no pure play. You're either going to have some ownership through the org, which is like very little, or that's it. So I think a real trend is these influencers need to market themselves as companies and enterprises and raise money. And I just think that would be the real way to have that, to be able to invest in that cohesive ecosystem. Okay, that was a lot of words to chew, but that's how I feel.
Well, for that, I think it's really a double-edged sword. Obviously, it's less risk for investors in certain ways to invest in these influencers. Number one, they're more pandemic-proof. They have their own audiences. They can stream anytime and expand in a lot of different ways. And they're also not chained really to any one game or any one team or any one whatever that they're doing. However, it's a bit riskier in the fact that we were talking about before, cancel culture is alive and well. So anything that streamer says, accidentally, on purpose, like even implications or something that happened in their past can send that streamer's stock going way down.
Let's do that. Let's chart Dr. Disrespect stock. Wow, huge streamer of the year again, one of the top streamers, banned from Twitch. What the hell did he do? Did he rape someone, murder someone? Must be so bad. He's banned. This stock's like freaking zero. Oh, we still don't know. Oh, he's back on YouTube. We think it was just a contractual issue with Twitch, and there you go. So that's the excitement of the stock, of if influencers were traded like stocks and they go up and down. Let's do another. That was fun. Let's do another one.
Well, there needs to be more transparency too, right? In that example you gave, we didn't know. So it's like if it's going to be a publicly traded company, we need to know why he was banned from Twitch. We can't not know. Otherwise, why would I invest my money in this if there's no transparency in the industry? So that also needs to come first, especially from Twitch, because we have seen a lot of fogginess there when it comes to.
There should be, because Twitch is a publicly traded company.
Well, exactly.
Via Amazon. Okay, let's do another example of a streamer. Here's a good example. So this Madden streamer, okay, he's getting good, streaming. All of a sudden, he rages at his son, throws him on the bed, and is screaming at him. Cease traded, stock blows up, blah, blah, blah. That's excitement. That's why I think content creators, influencers should IPO. We should trade them like stocks. It would be so fun, so interesting. I'm Ben Feferman.
I'm Rachel.
Thanks for watching Esports Unfiltered. We will be back in a more regular scheduled way. And Good night and stay classy, Wichita.